आज हम यहाँ पे क्वींस होटल बेसवाटर में बैठे हैं, जहाँ पे पाकिस्तान से आए हुए हमारे सारे दोस्त ठहरते हैं, लेकिन ख़ास तौर पे जिनका मैं नाम लेना चाहूँगा उनमें इशफाक हुसैन है जो कनाडा से आते हैं, आफ्ताब साहब हैं जो जापान से आते हैं, मुजाहिद बरेलवी साहब हैं जो कराची से आते हैं, यहाँ ठहरते हैं। और ये होटल जो है, यहाँ का जो स्टाफ है हमें यूँ ही समझता है कि जैसे हम अपने घर में हैं। मोहम्मद समी खान हैं, इनके दूसरे जितने भी साथी और दोस्त हैं वो सारे आज हम इसमें मौजूद हैं। लेकिन एक और बहुत अहम शख्सियत से हम आज गुफ्तगू करेंगे। अफजाल मलिक साहब भी वैसे तो हर साल आते हैं, लेकिन मलिक सईद हसन जस्टिस जो फार्मर हैं, बहुत सीनियर वकील हैं, पॉलिटिशियन रहे हैं और आजकल हर साल जून जुलाई में आते हैं। और इस वक्त हम 3 अगस्त संडे के दिन आफ्टरनून में यहाँ बैठे हैं और इनसे गुफ्तगू करेंगे। मलिक सईद हसन साहब, वेलकम टू लंदन वंस अगेन। और आज हम आपसे जो गुफ्तगू करेंगे, दैट इज़ योर लाइफ। वेयर वर यू born, when you were born, where you got education, and then what did you in your life. And I will be asking you question. First is, where were you born and how was your childhood?
I am a Kashmiri by descent. My real birthplace is Gulbarg, which is now under Indian occupied Kashmir. I was the 10th child of my parents, and my mother was about 38, 39 or 36 when I was born. By the standard of those times, she was considerably very old, and the only epithet that I ever heard from my mother about myself was, "Saeed, जिन्ना तू जम्मिया मेरियां ती हड्डियां ही गल गई." So that is my place of birth. First 3 years, because I was a very sickly child, and it was considered that I would die because my bones were very weak, and I was not a very healthy child. So my mother had to be there for about 3 to 4 years before she came to Amritsar, because Amritsar is our basic city, home city. In this sense, we are Kashmiri people. And from the days of my great-grandfather, we had established business my forefathers had established business like this. At Amritsar, we had a factory to manufacture carpets and also pashmina shawls. Those pashmina shawls, after preliminary work, was sent back to Srinagar for tupa, for the highest form of embroidery. And then all these things will come back to Amritsar. And from the times of my grandfather, we had established 2 business centers, one at Calcutta, the other at Bombay. So in a way, before partition, we had some kind of 4 homes: Amritsar, Srinagar, Bombay, Calcutta. I used to move at these 4 places as if I am moving in 4 mahallas in one city. I don't recall before partition, before 1947, ever lived at any one place for more than 3 months. And then we had a tendency, my grandfather had built some property in Dharamsala, which is in Indian state of Himachal Pradesh, where the now Dalai Lama lives. So, by the age of 4, I came back to Amritsar, and I studied senior Cambridge, up to senior Cambridge at Amritsar. Then, in 1946, one of my cousin, Yusuf was his name, we had good an idea of establishing a business in England in 1946. 46 I came to England, but there are two fortuitous circumstances as well. My elder sister Amina, who later on married General Shafiqur Rahman, the writer, she studied at Oxford, taking her master's degree in English language. Then one of my brother, General Shaukat, who died recently at the age of 95, he came here in the year 1937 to do his FRCS.
Okay. He was a doctor, medical doctor.
FRCS, and by the time in 1939 when he had passed his FRCS, he was almost conscripted in the British Army. And throughout the war, he lived in England.
Okay. Second World War.
Second World War. And he was here till 1948. He was a major in the army. And with great, then in 1948, Liaquat Ali Khan came here for, I think, Commonwealth Prime Minister's Conference, and he met him. And he asked him, what are you doing here? Come to Pakistan. You're needed over there. We need doctors. So he got some kind of a relief. And you know, in the army, to get relief is not very easy. He came to Pakistan in 1948. In 1947, my family was totally destroyed and we became all paupers. Like this. I used to live in Bombay from 1943 onwards, by and large. And I used to live over there. Most of the time I would spend in Bombay. I started loving Bombay. I loved Bombay. It was some kind of an outpost of Europe in India. I used to stay or live at a place called number 1 Mount Pleasant Road, Malabar Hill, Bombay, with one of my chacha, Sufi Ghulam Muhammad, Dr. Sufi Ghulam Muhammad, who was educated in Sorbonne, Paris. Very educated person. Mr. Jinnah lived at 9 Mount Pleasant Road, end of the Mount Pleasant Road. And there was a round sort of a place where there was a little board, white board, small one, and it wrote Mr. M.A. Jinnah. That's all. So I had the opportunity right from 1943-44 onwards to see all these people, great people, Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Liaquat Ali Khan, Nawab Zada, Ismail, and all Chaudhry
Azad Sahab.
Huh?
Abul Kalam Azad.
No, Abul Kalam Azad, Mr. Jinnah never attended.
Okay.
He would call him a showboy. He would refuse to meet him. Even when he was, for a long time, he was a member, he was a president of the Congress, he saw to it that he does not meet him.
Okay.
And Mr. Jinnah never ever invited him at his house. Gandhi ji was welcome, but not Azad.
Even Nehru?
Nehru, there was sometime Mr. Jinnah called him Peter Pan. And there was some kind of, I think, mutual animosity between Mr. Jinnah and Banerjee. Mr. Jinnah called him Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
You know the meaning of Peter Pan?
Of course.
A person who never grows.
Yeah.
And when after the cessation of hostilities in 1945, first thing that Nehru did was he went to Rangoon. There he met a press and he was asked, what do you think of Mr. Jinnah? He said, Mr. Jinnah is one of those who, having committed patricide and matricide, claims to be an orphan. So there was that kind of a exchange of unpleasantries between these two, and I think they never got along. They never got along. And the other thing, and the other is when Mountbatten came as the viceroy and asked him, Nehru, what do you think of Jinnah? He said he is a remarkable man, but he got success rather late in life, and therefore that made him rather bitter. He was quite wrong in all these remarks, because Mr. Jinnah was the glamorous boy of Bombay. Because, you know, when Parliamentary Reforms Act of 1909, for the first time, a legislative council was established, and that was a deliberative body, not a legislative body. And in 1911, when Mr. Jinnah was about 30, 31, he was elected as the member from Muslim constituency, Muslim business, rather, Chamber of Commerce, Muslim Chamber of Commerce, Bombay. He was elected. Okay. And he became member of the Viceroy's Legislative Council. And to be a member of Viceroy's Legislative Council at the age of 30, 31 was not a
small thing.
Was not a small thing at all. Anyhow, coming back to myself, when I used to see all these great people coming and going, and I was terribly impressed by Mr. Jinnah. Less for what he stood for, more by his, as an adolescent, about his person, this and that and everything. So I also had, and in those days, these people were like gods. People would worship them. I started meeting even the leaders of the Communist Party also. That is P.C. Joshi, Dange, Zahir Abbas, Sajad Zahir. In those days, the communists used to have a modus operandi that they will catch young people and take them to the study circles.
Yep. Educate them.
Recruit them to as the cadre of the party. So I met a person who became friend. He used to take me, come along, let's go, I will take you to. And I got very sort of fond of, though I came from a business family, but I was not enchanted by business people because they're all the time talking of money and sale of goods and katas and for profits, etc. I became much more interested in people who talk about politics, talk about ideologies and literature and Maxim Gorky, Karl Marx, this and that, you know. And,
you were inclined toward that.
And I was inclined towards communism.
Right.
At a very tender age, because I used to hear those people, and it was their methodology that as soon as the meeting is over, they will give some pamphlets called Dialectical Materialism and Marxism and
to take them home and read them.
And I remember first communist literature that I read was Communist Manifesto.
Right.
So I was more inclined towards communism, and of course, in a way, in a nimble way, the demand of Pakistan as well.
Right.
But for me, the demand of Pakistan was like having a dignified share of the Muslims in some form of federal India. My first choice, frankly speaking, was that. So, when I remember in 1946, I used to follow the proceedings of the cabinet mission very, very avidly. I used to read all the statesmen in Bombay very with great interest. And when this cabinet mission scheme was published, I was very happy. It's good that Muslim will also have a dignified position in a federal India,
Right.
wherein the federal government will be limited, and most of the powers will be with the groups.
Yes.
And we had majority in two groups.
Right.
This was Maulana Azad's formula. Maulana Azad did not accept Muslims as minorities,
Right.
because Gandhi ji had given this word minority for the first round table conference. Muslim as a minority was used for the first time by Gandhi ji, which very much annoyed Mr. Jinnah.
Okay.
Because after Gokhale, it was the natural expectation of Mr. Jinnah to be the number one congressman.
Right.
But that a spoiled sport was entrance of Gandhi into politics. And after that, Congress leaders, instead of accepting Jinnah as a main national leader, they started referring to him as a minority leader.
I understand. Because of that one.
And minority are always in every country class 2 citizen. Never in history there has been a country wherein minority has equal status
Or rule the country.
or rule the country. It's not possible. So that was the first disenchantment of Mr. Jinnah. And this word minority was used by Gandhi ji in the first round table conference that was called by Ramsay MacDonald in London. He was the Labour Prime Minister,
Yep.
Ramsay MacDonald.
Yeah.
And his answer was that every nation has its minorities, which means nation are the Hindus and minorities are the Muslims.
Muslims. And others.
Obviously, no, basically Muslims,
Muslims.
because other minorities are minuscule, they don't matter.
Small.
So when this scheme was published and Mr. Jinnah in his own way accepted, it was sabotaged by Congress.
Right.
And I was very happy, frankly speaking. Thank God India will remain united. And I loved Bombay.
Of course.
I never had a feeling, I as a Muslim never had a feeling that we are number 2 citizen. They say Rassi jal gayi, bal nahi gaya. Muslims still had the reminiscence of having been ruled India for 1,000 years.
1,000 years. So
And
we are the
Hindus
rulers.
had that kind of complex against us. Huh?
Superiority complex.
Especially we people who came from the north, we were fairer, taller, better looking. And most of the people from the south, they were darker, short looking, and we had some kind of a natural natural preference over them. So, but when partition came, it was decided on the 3rd of June 1947, and it was published on the 4th of June 1947 in Statesman of Bombay.
Yeah.
And it was published like this. On the front page, Statesman gave a bracket, black bracket of more than 1 inch, and 2 words were written only: India divided. It didn't make me happy, frankly speaking. So at once we had a feeling that now we can't live in this country.
Decision was taken.
The scene is taken, we have taken our share. So my father was an arch congressy. I was inclined towards Muslim League. So the riots began, and we decided, the letter came from Lahore that the family has been destroyed, we are powerless, we are poor, please come and help us. So myself and my father decided to go to Lahore to help on 24th of August 1947.
After independence, 10 days after
India.
independence.
And you know, the people in Bombay, in Pune was so fantastically pro-Muslim League.
Mm-hmm.
Muslim League had become some kind of religion at that time.
Right.
People will go to janazas and the body was covered with Muslim League flag.
Flags.
There is a barat going and it is with flags of Muslim League. And as Lord Wavell had suggested, that to the ignorant and impressible Muslim masses, a new prophet had offered a paradise, which is Pakistan. These are words of
Lord Wavell.
Lord Wavell's.
One of my friends is actually writing a book on Lord Wavell. And you know her as well. It is Victoria Schofield.
I see. Yes.
And she's writing a book on
Anyhow,
Lord Wavell. So these things will come out.
These things here, I'm not quoting anything from myself. I will tell you what I have been doing for the last 20 years.
Right.
So, what happened was that we took a train on 24th of
August
1947, and the train came right up to Delhi.
Right.
My father and myself, we dined at Spencer's restaurant, and those used to be at the Delhi platform. And everybody told us, do not go because it's very dangerous.
I know.
Because at that time, in first third week of August, Sikhs had made a plan. The plan was that they will just by stratagem and by false persuasion allow Muslim to travel by the train. They say, well, it doesn't matter, it's very safe, etc., etc. And it was very easy to convince my father because he was already a congressman. And everybody told us that don't go. They have established a rendezvous at Patiala where they kill all the Muslims traveling. I was convinced that if we travel in this train, we will be killed. I was 100% convinced. My father said, no, I'm going. He said in Punjabi, I said, Papa ji, don't go, please, very dangerous. We'll go tomorrow by air. He said, "Tu darna to wapas chale ja." I became very angry. And when I'm angry, I speak English. I said, look, like this. If you are determined to have yourself killed, I will have to die with you. Because I don't want to carry the blame that I had you killed and saved my own miserable skin.
At that age.
At that age. I looked at him like this. So in anger, I entered the compartment, first class compartment it was. And first class compartment used to be two doors in the center and one sofa on this side, one sofa and one on the upper seat. At about 10 o'clock the train started, 10 o'clock at night. And there was only 3 occupants. Myself and one colonel, British colonel, he occupied the other seat. And out of, let us say, malefied intent, I allowed my father to occupy the upper berth. I deliberately, in anger, occupied the right berth. And I was convinced that we are going to be killed. And I started making plans in my life. If this will happen, I will say this, I will do this. Whole night I went on planning.
Right.
And my last plan was, if I were to kill, I will die before I die, I will kill 2-3 persons.
Right.
Because I was very strong, very powerful. Now what happens? early in the morning came Ambala. The British colonel left, and all riff-raff Hindus, Sikhs entered into the first class compartment. In those days, to travel by first class was something very elitist. But all riff-raff, because there was no law and order, nothing of the kind, nobody checked anything, all came and sat in Ambala, and train started moving. I got up and occupied the window sill and started reading a book called Zarathustra by Nietzsche. Thus Spake Zarathustra by Nietzsche. And it was a gold-rimmed small book along with the red leather covering. It's golden. I started reading. I was not in the mood to communicate. One Hindu boy sat beside me. Typical Hindu was used to white pajama, tongue pajama, white shirt, and some kind of black round cap they used to wear. He looked at me. He said, "Are you a Muslim?" In English he said. I said, "No, I'm a Parsi." When I said a Parsi, after 2 minutes that train stopped. And all these 6 murderers, kukas, etc., they entered the compartment. They started killing right and left everybody. And I am sitting, about 8 or 9 weapons are pointed towards me. Javelin, this, that, sword, gun, etc. And the system was that they will not kill in a compartment. They will take the victim to the main door, shoot him, or not shoot him, but basically kill him with arms, with daggers and with javelins, etc., and throw him with Chal Pakistan. I could not, my vision was blocked. So when my turn came, they wanted to pick me up, and the other person said, "Oh, ede kono push lo, ete Parsi gaje." There was a Sikh boy standing just in front. I was sitting, he was standing in front of me with a pistol in his hand. He said, "Oi, you Muslim?" No, what is? I looked at him. I go, "What does this say?" "I'm sorry, Siddha Sahib, I don't know your language. I speak English or I speak Gujarati. I'm a Parsi." Huh? Then say, "All right, put off patloon." Yes, you can see. So instead of being afraid, I became aggressive. I said, "Get away, gentlemen, get away." I stood up and I opened few buttons. And fortunately, I was wearing this
Circumcised.
no, pink colored underwear. No, it is orange color underwear with double lining out in front. I opened my trouser, and when I was about to open my underwear, he got a bit ashamed. He said, "All right, sit down." Next stop was, and when they started cross-examining me, where are you going, this and that. I can narrate the whole story, where I came from, who is my father, what's the name of, because I used to almost live with a Parsi family in Bombay.
Right, so you had all
I knew all their names and I knew everything. So it all went on for more than 2 hours or so, till next station, Ludhiana came. There was one Hindu gentleman also I saw sitting in the compartment. He was at Delhi Spencer restaurant, and he was listening everything that we were talking about.
Right.
Everything. Huh? Listening to everything. But he kept quiet. He did not say anything. So I have a soft corner for Hindus.
Right.
I said, had he just said, I would have kidding me. Now, when train stopped at a railway station, Ludhiana, I was sitting, everybody would come and look at me, everybody come and look at me. I had a feeling that somebody has recognized me. And they had planned, they let the train move, thereafter they will kill me. And to guard that I should not go out of the compartment, they placed one tall boy, very powerful, sick at the door, so that I don't go out. I was the only one sitting inside. And when the train was about to move, I played a trick. I said, oh, I must check my luggage in the brake. He said, when I wanted to go out, he said, oh, Saab, sit down. Train about to move. I said, look, you have taken away my money, my watch. I have no money, no ticket. I want to see whether my bag is there intact or not. How on earth I am going to go out? Get away. Like this. Is there some magic in my eyes?
Yes.
Who come here? I pushed him back. I got down on the platform and train started moving. Train started moving towards Lahore. I started moving towards Delhi. But to cut the long story short, from that time onwards, I walked all the way from Ludhiana to Wagah border.
Okay.
To save my life.
Okay.
It's a long story. If I were to narrate to you, it would take about 3-4 hours. How and under what circumstances.
Okay. And your father was still in the train?
No, father, they had injured him. It was long. Later on, he was killed also.
My God.
So, but I must. Should I narrate everything or
No, skip it.
skip it? Let me come back to
If there
myself.
is any important bit in it.
Let's say, because there came a letter. He was. What happened was that he wrote a letter to us that he had survived that, and Maharaja of Patiala had asked all the Muslims to come and fought for their safety. All the Muslims of that area, Rajpura, etc., about more than 3,000 families, they were put in a fort.
Okay.
And there we received a letter from him that
Your father?
My father. I went back to Delhi, and Dr. Saifuddin Kishru, one of the leaders, is our relations. Through him, we met Panditji. Panditji was when he was told that Malik Saab is an important worker, etc., he had some acquaintance with him. He gave me a jeep along with two Gorkhas to go to Rajpura and bring Malik Saab back to Delhi. But one day before, everybody had been killed.
My God.
So I went back again, and Panditji embraced me, almost wept. And he asked me to, oh, you stay here. You stay with us. I said, no, my family is there. So that was the end of. So by the time my father, because we had lost everything, we were paupers, whole family was pauper. In the meantime, my brother came to Pakistan. He became Lieutenant Colonel in the army with a salary of 1,300 rupees.
Shaukat Saab.
Shaukat Saab. And he had saved 9,000 rupees also. I developed a version. I read a book called Carnegie, I think, whose aim was that real property of a person is that which is within him. And the outside property, it is here one day and it is not there the other day.
Next day.
As the French say, "Do l'argent, no maître." Money has no master. So I insisted at that time that I must go to England and study.
Right. I want to ask you a question here. Your whole family, your brother was a journal and
Later on became general.
but he was a doctor as well.
He was the Surgeon General of the Armed Forces.
Surgeon, your
Surgeon,
other brother was also a doctor?
No, they were business people.
Business people.
Yeah.
All were either business people or doctor.
No. My family was family of business people for fourth generation.
Right.
Only my brother was an exception, and my sister, who had done his master's degree from Oxford
In English literature.
in English literature.
Why did you choose to become a barrister and come to England to do your bar?
Yeah.
That was my question.
First was, I also had developed the ambition to be a political leader.
Right. Because
These people, of all hues, whether they are communists, whether they are congressies, whether they are Muslim leaguers, they were treated. You see, today, a politician is a name for another scoundrel in Pakistan. In those days, they were like gods. People would worship them like gods. And I had a feeling, what they have got which I haven't, why should I not be one of them? Right. And then that book gave me, Carnegie's book, that real property is that which is within you, not without. I said, I was so rich and everything is gone and the whole family is a pauper. What's the use of this property? I must have education.
Right.
And the best education is the English education. I was terribly Anglophile right from my childhood. And my brother, and family was very poor. And in those days, 1950, only the sons of the richest could come to England, and there was no the settlement of people, nothing of the kind. The settlement started much later on. Only the richest of the Indians would come here. So my brother was so great, he said, all right, I hear you take 5,000 rupees from me, and I will each month send you 500 rupees. Wonderful person. So I was so happy to come to this country.
1951?
51. So first thing was that I joined LSE. I did my master's in
London School of
Economics. Then I had also taken admission in Lincoln's Inn bar.
Right.
Lincoln's Inn is very much celebrated in Pakistan.
In Asia, actually.
Not only, especially in Pakistan, because Mr. Jinnah belonged to Lincoln's Inn, and there is great hello about Lincoln's Inn in Pakistan because of Mr. Jinnah.
Although there are 4 inns and they are equally important.
But in Pakistan, they recognize only
one.
Lincoln's Inn.
Yeah.
So first I passed, because I had already done my BA LLB.
Okay.
I took my master's degree from London, LSE. Then I declared Part 1 of bar. Then I passed LLM from the University College London.
Okay, UCL as well.
UCL London as an intern student. 57 I passed my final examination.
Right.
56, 57. And I started practice also. I had got a scholarship because I stood first in LLM to work for LLD, that is DCL from Oxford at All Souls College under Professor Cheshire.
Right.
So 57 I went to Oxford and started working on a thesis.
Right.
And DCL at Oxford takes about 4 to 5 years.
Right.
In 1958, a person, a lawyer from Pakistan called Mr. Punnu, he came to Oxford.
Right.
And entertained him for the whole day. I took him here, various colleges, etc., etc.
Right.
And at night he asked me, Mrs. Saeed Saab, Malik Saab, what do you want to do in life? I said, I will finish my DCL and go and practice. He said, you have done bar, you have done LLM, you have done MA. Is it not enough? People practice only by doing VLLB. Why are? So he said, if you want to complete this doctorate of yours, then remain here, become a professor. Don't think of coming back to Pakistan. He said, what's your age? I said, I'm already 30 years of age. In 1958, I was already 30 years of age. He created that indelible impression on my mind that yes, he is right. What on earth I'm doing? Why should I complete my doctorate over here? So 58 I came back to Pakistan with a double idea that my main direction of life will be politics, but lawyer I will be to sustain myself because I had no means of other sustenance. Right? But in 1958 martial law, and I was so disgusted because I had become so Anglophile. I said democracy, parliamentarianism, this is a way of life. I took this imposition of martial law something primitive, barbaric. I became terribly angry. And also angry that it also axes my profession, my ambition to be in politics. Because dictatorship is a negation of politics. Or essence of politics is freedom of expression. Soul of politics is dialogue. So if there is no soul, there cannot be democracy. I was disgruntled, but I buried myself into law. Then I was twice elected as the president of the High Court Bar Association. Then I became a judge. Then martial law was imposed. During those days of martial law, the judges who were trying Bhutto, they started behaving more like prosecutors and less like judges.
Were you part of that bench?
No, I was not a part of bench. I used to
You knew?
Everybody who come and tell me what is happening. I was very much disgruntled. I was so disgruntled. I felt ashamed of being a judge of that court which is behaving in that manner. And I was not a member of the People's Party. And by the way, I did not have any sympathy for Bhutto. You know why? Bhutto was a warmonger. I am a pacifist. I believed in having peace with India, not war with India. Then, when I was in Europe, I had visited all these communist countries, Prague, Warsaw, East Berlin, Moscow, and I thought that a communist economy will not work. It is too centralized. It is too dictatorial. It is too intolerant. And my romance with communism was over. And ever since I became totally anglicized.
When you say anglicized, what do you mean by it? Democracy?
No, by
values?
yes, by anglicized means respect for the privacy of life, respect for law, respect for freedom of expression, respect for harmony in things, respect for a progressive scientific way of life. And a developed country, I like to live in a developed country.
Again, can you explain what do you mean by developed?
Physically developed.
Roads.
You see, for instance, I am a person who lived, I'm basically a scion of the cities. to live in a backward atmosphere, no road, nothing of the kind, no school, nothing, flies, mosquitoes, etc. No. Most of my time in India was spent in Bombay. And thereafter I came to London in this country, this discipline, cleanliness, opportunity for education, libraries, value, etc. Instead of emotions, people talk in a scientific, in a rational manner, etc. And discipline of life, etc. I tell you, this is what my definition of West development. If also physically developed country, good roads, good building, sewerage system, water, electricity, etc., gardens, clean.
Disciplined as well.
It develops society. I am very fond of. I am not a agrarian. I would not. I could not live in a backward small city. I am a big city boy.
Big city.
Because most of my boyhood was spent in Bombay, which was sort of a window of Europe in the subcontinent. So this is my definition. So I resigned. I was not a member of the People's Party, nor I liked their ways, frankly speaking. I thought them they were warmongers.
Your resignation was basically based on your anglicized
And
living the values that the
my-
judge should not be a prosecutor, but judge should be a blind man only doing the justice based on the evidence which is produced in front of him. Right.
I became disgruntled with the behavior because I was a junior judge, I was a young judge, and I resigned.
What year was it?
1977.
77, in the very beginning.
In the very beginning of martial law,
Martial law.
I resigned. You know what happened? I was just a, let us say, struggling lawyer. I was not a very celebrated lawyer, nothing. A young man who was a struggling lawyer became a judge. And after having resigned, when I come back to the bar, just a person started walking with me. He asked me, "Sir, what do you think of Mr. Bhutto?" I said, he's a great statesman in the world. He's a great man, a great statesman. These are my words. And he said, this Zia has postponed election. What do you think of that? I said, then he has gone now. He has no rationale to take over the country. We should immediately return to democracy. If he is not holding election, because he said he has come to hold election, if he is not hold election, that he has no business to run the country. Little did I know that next day, this statement of mine was published in headlines.
A former judge of High Court.
And it became a world news, BBC, this and that as a result of treatment to Bombay, a judge of the High Court has resigned in protest against the conduct of judges. This was a world news. World news because Mr. Bhutto was a world man.
Leader, yes.
So immediately I became a very known person. And I in a known person in a way, I was hero to some and villain to others.
There are always two sides.
Anti-Bhutto people painted me as a villain. Pro-Bhutto made me a hero. Then Mr. Bhutto sent me 8 cases other than the murder case which were registered against him. He made me his lawyer. Then I started meeting him in jail. And I was very much impressed by him. Very intelligent man, very charming man. Though I differed with him, but he was as a person, he was a very charismatic person. One day he said, Mr. Malik, I am making you the Secretary General of the party. I was terribly afraid because in the days of Zia, he was a tyrant. He was a medieval tyrant. I was a bit afraid. I am not cut to be Muhammad Hussain. I am not cut to be hero. I am a cautious man. But I said, all right, let me take the responsibility. With the result that most of the PPP leaders were in jail.
Of course, that was the case.
Before that, what happened was that all the people, when trial of Mr. Bhutto was on in the High Court, they would not allow any member of the People's Party to come into the bar.
Yes.
Bar was terribly anti-Bhutto, anti-PPP. I have an office just adjoining the High Court. So all these people, leaders,
Will come to your office.
Begum Bhutto, Benazir Bhutto, leaders, they started coming, having tea in my office. No serious talk, just I would offer them tea and gupshup, nothing else. And they started report outside, the CID man starts report. Great conspiracies are taking place in
In the office of-
the office of Malik Saeed Hassan. With the result, I was arrested. My first yatra was jail. Then when I came out, Mr. Bhutto made me Secretary General. Then for next 10 years, imagine, I did not earn a penny.
All the period of Ziaullah.
For 4 years I was in jail, and when I come out, I am making speeches here and speeches there, going to
You
this
become
place,
the
that
most important.
politician. For a number of years, I was the only person running the party. And for 10 years, my wife supported me. I did not earn a penny. She supported me.
You have to tell me the story of your marriage as well.
Yes.
Skipped.
That was very romantic affair. I was known to be a very good-looking.
Which
And-
you are.
In my youth, at least this is what the people thought. And a barrister was supposed to be
Educated from England.
From England. The boys were educated in England, barristers, good-looking, well-dressed, etc. They are the number one marriage market in Pakistan
At that time.
at that time. And I had a feeling that half the Kashmiri girls of middle classes, they want to marry me.
My God.
At least half the girls. And I thought I can't afford to get married.
Because you were still
So I'm
struggling.
still struggling to establish myself. And then once somebody took me to female Olympic Games. Female Olympic Games taking place at University Ground.
Right.
You know where the University Ground is?
Yeah.
Near Chupurji.
Yeah.
There I saw a pretty girl who won 5 gold medals.
My God.
100 yard, 500 yard racing, this and long jump, high jump, etc.
You come down to Queen's Hotel, Bayswater.
And
and we
her
will,
parents were also there. Somehow they saw me.
three of us, we will.
Oh, her parents were also there, obviously, because their
obviously.
daughter is there.
And at that time, she was a medical student of final year. And
That is
they,
amazing.
at that time, they were finding a suitable boy for her. When they saw me,
92,
so they started sending messages to some various friends. There's a very nice girl, very pretty girl, etc. She's appropriate girl for you. And I was avoiding.
and the
For the reason that I thought I can't as yet get married.
postal site is W2TLT.
Out just to while away the मैं ऐसा ऑनलाइन मैंने कहा दिखाओ तो सही यार कौन लड़की है तुम्हें इतनी तारीफ
Let me see her.
92
And when I saw her, she was the same girl who had won 5 gold. And I immediately decided to get married.
Say yes.
So you can imagine
Queensway,
that when in those days, when I lived here for 8 years, how many girls I must have met, how many girls I must have dated.
Chinese, as well as
I can well
You
imagine.
can well imagine. I never ever thought of marrying any one of them.
Okay.
And in those days, the girls were crazy to get married.
Okay.
No,
It was a different culture.
It was a different culture, and they were not free in sex, mind you. Sex wasn't free. The kind of a girl that I would meet, my university girl, this and that.
From a very middle class background.
For most of the girls, I
Very
would meet,
conservative background.
I will meet middle class girls.
0207.
Daughter of a barrister, daughter of a doctor, mostly in club. And in the club they will come with their parents. And you will get permission from the parents to dance with her. Huh?
If 81 is not
So you see.
responding, then 82. Okay.
And she was a girl coming from lower middle class,
No.
son, daughter of high religious people who were not allowed to meet her cousins. And she had never seen a cinema before.
My God.
And
Very
I was a whiskey drinking, club going Britisher. So what a great contrast it was. So I taught her all those things. First, her impression was that now she will give up her studies and do the home, the housewife, look after the children, clean the house. I said, nothing doing.
You've done MBBS.
No, that was the last year, and she stood first in MBBS.
Yeah.
Then also postgraduate, she stood first. I said, I can't do you 2 favors: to marry you and also to support you. I can afford to employ the servants in the house. I can afford everything. You will concentrate on your studies.
To complete your story.
Complete your studies. And then I said, you will not take part in the chores of the household. I have got servant for that. You will practice your own profession. With the result that now is much richer than I am. Now she owns the hospital. She employs 100 persons.
And she was able to support you when you were in the jail and struggling.
She supported me in such a way, you see. A leader does not eat alone. She bought a van. Every day herself, she will bring food for 10, 20 persons
In the jail.
in the jail and take back yesterday's utensils and bring them. And it happened for 4 years. After that, when democracy was restored, I wanted to retire. I thought enough is enough. But Benazir forced me to fight election against the
National Assembly.
National Assembly,
In 88,
88.
I think you fought Nawaz Sharif.
Against them.
You stood against Nawaz Sharif in 1988.
88. In by-election, we lost. Then Benazir said, doesn't matter, you can have any job that you want. You want to governor of Punjab, become a governor of Punjab. I became her favorite. Benazir's outlook is they are feudal people. They have... Huh? आओ करो गल अच्छा
अच्छा एक मिनट
Hello Prititi, hello. Hello, nice talking to you. I will see you day after tomorrow.
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow. Very good, very good. Yes. Yes. Okay, we'll be ready for you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, okay. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
जस्ट होल्ड ऑन फॉर अ सेकेंड आपने फिर वहाँ से शुरू करना है कि जब Benazir is from feudal background, and her look is just a minute. Ready? Yeah, carry on.
You see, Benazir, these people have a feudal background. Whereas these Nawaz Sharif, etc., they are a bourgeois
Business.
business people. They don't feel any obligation. They are like the Americans. Well, what we don't, no obligation. You have done the job, we have paid you the money. That's all. They don't feel any loyalty. Feudal people have a sense of loyalty. It is in the mind of Benazir that this man stood by us
During difficult times.
during the time when we were in ditch. So he must be rewarded. He must be rewarded. So she insisted that I must fight the election, but we lost the election.
I know.
Thereafter she said, you have any job you want. Out of the list she sent me, which included to be the governor of Punjab. And also a case of reprocessing plant dispute we had with France. Dispute we had with
I
France.
know. With Bhutto had agreement and
So, I said, all right, give me that case, I will do it.
I will be better defending the case, fighting the case.
I will do it. So, in that case, it was about 2 years for me to be in that case. And I got $4 million as compensation. I won the case, $4 million.
To the government of Pakistan, state of Pakistan.
If Benazir had been the Prime Minister at that time, she would have given me $4 million because 1% is the share of the person concerned. I did not take any fee.
So it was 400 million you won from them.
And my share would have been $4
4
million.
million, yes, 1% at least.
But by that time the government had changed. Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister. And he expected that I should come to him, join his party,
And then he will.
and then ask for it. And for me, I believe that a person should earn two things in life, money and respect. That had I changed the party for the sake of 4 million, I would have lost the respect of my colleagues and my comrades in party, because by that time I had become a very important leader in the People's Party.
Of course.
So I had foregone that money. I said nothing to him. So I got, but I did not get any fee for that. Though normally people think that I got millions, but that is not. Because the thing is, I challenge all the governments that if you give me $4 million, it's not given just under the hand. It will be given by a check. I will have to pay income tax for it. Anyhow, everybody knows that I did. Then it became a politics of the money. The color of politics was transformed from service into money. Global interest, prestige, this and that. I became disgruntled. And I am one of those who, by deliberate effort, downgraded my political status. I'm still in the People's Party. I have not changed any party. I don't believe in changing party.
Of course.
If you change the party, you become a lota. I didn't want to. So my present position is this. At my age, I am now octogenarian, about 80 years of age. I've organized my profession. I've got a team with me, and I lead a peaceful, happy life. And now my ambition is to write my experience in life, especially partition, what happened in 1947, that is history of British India from the end of the Second World War up to 1947. I have written a book also. But the more I read, the more I have a
become
feeling
interested
that I know very little, because hundreds of books have been written.
Yes.
Pakistan is the country of ignorant people. There is no love for learning and this and that. They only want to make money. Money is God in Pakistan. Indians, on the other hand, is a world power in literature, in knowledge. They are world power. You can't imagine how much literature is produced in India in every hue of life. They are world power. They are not like a third world country. So the more I read, because for the last 20 years, I am spending at least 8 to 9 hours every day in the library studying this from the British record.
Whenever you are in England.
When I am in England. But unfortunately, I am a very busy lawyer. I have no opportunity to study in Pakistan. So when I decide to give up practice, but it's very difficult for me to give up my practice because that is my only source of living. And I don't expect my wife to keep on supporting me for the rest of my life. She has already supported me for 10 years for my political adventures. So my life today is a very blissful life. I take 3 months off in a year. I travel. I live in this country. This country I love. I am perfectly in consonance, at peace, in harmony with the atmosphere over there. I don't have any angry experience over there. Never ever lose my temper. Whereas in Pakistan, there's hardly a day when I don't lose my temper. I have to control my staff, my secretaries, my cases, this and that and everything. One has to be alert all the time against fraud,
Cheaters.
against cheating, against this thing and that thing. Here, my mind is at rest.
Very relaxed.
Relax, enjoy the bliss of the no load shedding, excellent weather, nice friend, nice talking, and I spend time in blissful laziness. So this is what.
But one question is that you have traveled a lot. You say
Yes,
almost,
I have traveled almost the whole world.
and particularly during those periods when you were fighting a case in France against a company which is very powerful and state of Pakistan, you travel intensively. So tell me obviously I travel a lot and I know what is the difference, but I would like to hear from you. What is the difference in between, how you feel when you travel to China or when you come to England or France and when you go back and land in Pakistan? What sort of lessons or things you would like to share with the people of Pakistan?
I don't have a pessimistic view about Pakistan to begin with. I am not of this view and that I am not Hamleton view. Hamlet's view was that there is something foul.
Someone wants to. Automatic.
आप carry on, आप बात करते रहे मैं
चलिए आप आ जाए फिर बात करें.
इसको एक मिनट बंद कर मैं वो गाड़ी जरा ठीक कर वो साइड में मोटरसाइकिल था ना तो इसलिए मेरे कल मैंने ज़्यादा शायद आपको मुश्किल हो तो इसलिए
यार पानी पिला दो.